So there was a great Russian chess champion by the name of Kasparov. He was a world chess champion, undefeated. This story goes back over 30 years ago. This was a time when IBM was still from the big computer manufacturers. Those IBM computers, I don't know if you remember what they once looked like. They were huge, they were the size of a room. Turns out that IBM created a very nifty little game. It was called the IBM Chess Master. It was a computerized chess game that you would play against the game. IBM just came out with the IBM Chess Master, and they wanted to show how great the game was. So they invited the Russian chess champion, Kasparov, to a game of chess to see if he can beat IBM's computer, the Chess Master. Now this computer was brilliant, obviously. The computer made 10,000, 20,000, calculations a second. This wasn't a simple thing. But they wanted to give great publicity to their new product, so they challenged the Russian chess master, Kasparov, to a series of chess to see who would win. A chess championship. Kasparov against the chess master of IBM. Kasparov laughed. He says, "You think your computer can beat me?" He accepted the challenge. And there it was on the front page of Time magazine. Man versus machine. IBM, chess master, takes on the world chess champion, Kasparov. Wow, the world was going crazy. Kasparov flies into the United States, and they pick him up by limousine from the airport, and they drive him to the Felt Forum. I don't even know if you guys know what that is. It's the smaller half of Madison Square Garden. It's for the smaller events. It's like for those NCAA college basketball games that don't make it to the Garden, so they play in the Felt Forum. It's a smaller arena. In the Garden, of course. So they set up this bout in the Felt Forum, and they brought Kasparov in, and the place was packed. And in the middle of the floor, all there was a table with this computer-looking style type of a chess game plugged in with one chair by the table. Standing next to the table was IBM's geniuses, the computer programmers, all in white coats, smiling and waiting for Kasparov to make his entry. After only a few minutes, the doors open up, the music begins to play. They start playing the Russian national anthem. Sounds like Rocky, no? And Kasparov comes walking in, and he's throwing kisses to the crowd. He's loving the publicity. And people are cheering, giving him standing ovation. Kasparov walks up to the chess master of IBM, and he sits down by the table, and he smiles, and he looks at the computer with the cute little pieces, and Kasparov looks like, "Come on, the chess master of the world. You're taking me on with your little toys?" But Kasparov was a sport. The men from IBM went to the back, and Kasparov hit start, and they put it on a high level, and he began to play. And Kasparov started to play. After 3 minutes, everyone sees him smiling. He's taking off pieces. Every time he takes off a piece, the game plays a little jingle. Every time the game takes off his piece, the game plays a little music of wah, wah, And he was playing back and forth. It went on for 4.5 minutes. And just then, Kasparov makes a move, and he goes, "Ha ha! I won. Checkmate." And just then, the game starts to play this incredible symphony of a jingle, and the whole game lights up, and the crowd went crazy. Kasparov beat the game. And Kasparov laughs and he says, "This is no match for me. This is a joke. This is a toy. I'm the world champion." The men in white coats come out from the back and they set the game to a much higher level. Matter of fact, they set the game to the highest level because Kasparov was playing IBM 2 out of 3. He already won 1. If he wins the next game, it's over. IBM loses the bet. They put it to the highest level. Grandmaster. Ooh, Grandmaster. Kasparov begins to play the game. This time Kasparov's playing for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes. Wow, 8 minutes! Grandmaster! Just then Kasparov smiles. He makes a move. He puts his hands up and he's laughing. And he screams, "Checkmate!" And the game begins to light up. And the music begins to play. And Kasparov beats IBM Chessmaster computer. And he gets up and he bows to the crowd. And he throws kisses again to the crowd. And he walks out very flamboyant. And the crowd went crazy. And when the reporters run up to Kasparov saying, "Mr. Kasparov, you made IBM look ridiculous. Was it even difficult?" "Ah, it's a joke. It's nothing. I'm Kasparov. I'm the world champion." And he walks out like Ivan Drago. Tell me, you think that's where the story ends? Come on, you know me better than that. A year later, IBM calls back Kasparov. I said, "Mr. Kasparov, we would like a rematch." He said, "What? What are you talking about?" It was a joke. It was an absolute joke. You didn't have enough of an embarrassment the first time around? It was a toy. I knocked it out in no time. It was nothing. Kasparov is laughing. Chutzpah! You call me back for a rematch after I totally annihilated you? Come on! IBM says, no. This time, we just invented the IBM Chessmaster 2. And it is much more advanced than the first one. This one's going to give you a real challenge. Matter of fact, Mr. Kasparov, this time we're going to put a wager, a bet. We're going to put $100,000 on the line. IBM Chessmaster 2 is going to beat you. Kasparov says, "You're putting money after what I did to you? Okay, you want to lose your money? You got it. I accept." And there it is, a year later, on the front of Time magazine. Man versus machine, the rematch. When people heard, they went crazy. Kasparov is coming back to the United States. He's going to take on IBM's Chessmaster 2. This time, in the Garden. This was a big event. This is a rematch. Sounds like WWE. This is a rematch. This is a big event. This is not Hulk Hogan. This is the real deal. Kasparov comes to the United States. They pick him up by limousine. They drive him into the Garden, and this time the crowds are going crazy. They give him a standing ovation. The reporters are tripping over each other just to get a statement from Kasparov. Kasparov is again coming out, waving to the crowd. He's a flamboyant peacock, this guy. He's loving it. And he walks to the middle of the floor of the Garden, and there's a table with the IBM Chessmaster 2 set up and one chair. IBM's men in white set up the game to an extremely high level, and they walk out as Kasparov smiles at the crowd and sits down. And now Kasparov begins to play. He plays for 2 minutes. He plays for 5 minutes. He plays for 8 minutes. He plays for 10 minutes. Wow, the crowd is getting uneasy, and they're watching as Kasparov is calculating his moves. And suddenly they see Kasparov starting to lean forward a little bit. And suddenly they see he's sitting at the end of his chair. And the game is going into 15 minutes. And then suddenly they see something that they never saw before. A bead of sweat comes down Kasparov's head. What? The immortal Kasparov is sweating. Is that possible? And then all of a sudden, at minute 17, Kasparov makes a move, and he goes, "Oh, that was a mistake!" And just then, the game goes, "Wah, wah, wah." Kasparov lost. Kasparov cannot believe it. It's the first time he ever lost a game in a championship. But this was the best of 3. And he smiles, keeps his cool. This time Kasparov takes off his jacket, rolls up his sleeves, says, "Okay, you want to play? Now we're going to play. You guys have a good toy here. All right, now this is a challenge." He sits down and he plays the second game. And this time, the people in the crowd see Kasparov is leaning forward at the edge of his chair. And he's playing the game, calculating every move step by step. He plays for 5, 10, 15, 20, 35 minutes. And he's working that game and sweating through it. Till all of a sudden, Kasparov makes a move. And he says, "Oh no, what did I do? It's a mistake." And he got so angry that he knew that move cost him the game. He took the table and he threw it over. And he got up in rage, picks up his jacket, flicks it over his shoulder, turns around, and marches out in anger. And the crowd cannot believe their eyes. And the men in white coats from IBM comes running out from the back, jumping and high-fiving each other. "We beat the chess master of the world! We beat Kasparov!" Nobody could believe it. When Kasparov got outside Madison Square Garden, the reporters caught up with him. "Mr. Kasparov, how's it possible? You, the chess master of the world, undefeated. How did IBM's Chess Master 2 beat you? How did that happen?" And Kasparov said a brilliant, brilliant concept. He said, "I want to tell you the secret. IBM did not build the Chess Master 2 for chess. IBM built Chess Master 2 for Kasparov." They didn't build that computer for chess. They built that computer for me. And he was right. Do you know what IBM did, guys? After Kasparov lost, after Kasparov beat IBM that first year, that first time, you know what IBM did? They took video of hundreds of hours of Kasparov playing chess. And they watched, and they learned his style. They learned his tricks, his techniques. They studied him, exactly the way he plays and operates. And then they built a computer to mimic exactly Kasparov and his incredible techniques. IBM's Chess Master 2 was a computerized Kasparov. And for the first time in Kasparov's life, he sat down to a game of chess where he realized after the first game, he wasn't playing a computer. He was playing himself. And that's the scariest opponent in life. When you go up against an opponent that knows everything about you, your strengths, your weaknesses, that's an opponent that's impossible to beat. The only way to beat him is to know yourself inside and out. Be real with yourself. Know what you're strong at and be honest to know what your weaknesses are. Stay far away from your areas of weakness and capitalize big time on your areas of strength. Remember, this Yetzer Hara has 7 names, and he has your name as well. He has your number. He knows you inside. He knows your strength. He knows your weaknesses. Don't go there. Don't go there. Stay far away from the things that you're weak. Put a fight up and strong against the areas that you're strength. Be honest and genuine with yourself. And that's a person that learns an unbelievable discipline. Because that was the secret of Echad Lamala v'Sheva Lamata. We connected with the Echad Lamala, God, our strength, our real strength, to knock out the Sheva Lamata, the 7 names of Yetzer Hara down here in this world. And now you're going to hear something that you didn't see coming. Here's the rabbit that's going to be pulled out of the hat. Because that is really what the word Elul stands for. Aleph Lamed Vav Lamed. Echad Lemala v'Sheva Lamata.